request, for a staff member who is requesting a 10-day sabbatical leave. If you want to pull anything out specifically from there to talk about, we can do that. Otherwise, I would look for a motion.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right. There's so many pages to get through before I get to the writing it down. Okay. Chapman. I almost wrote Catman. Huey seconded. All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. There are some personnel items that do not require a vote. So that comes to public comments. Do we have anyone registered? We do not. All righty. Then we're up for our informational update about K-8 PTO.
Oh, careful.
I know, I'm hurting myself. over here.
Welcome.
Hello. All right, hold on. Hello, everybody. My name is Samantha Zylinga, and I am the current president of the McFarland EC through 8 PTO. I actually asked Erin if I could appear to kind of just give you a yearly update. This is another thing like I'd like to change. I got the idea from Tom, actually, in school board meeting when he was talking about the Lions, and so that it's one of my emails that I sent Erin after school board meetings with my thoughts. And so this was one of them. I'm like, you know what? We should really do that and go over it because I don't know when it has last been done. I've been the president for 2 years now, and it has not been done then. So we will start a new thing here. So just kind of give you a little rundown of the organization for people who don't know. We serve EC through 8, very protective of the EC. So that's like the 3-year-olds, like 6 of them. So I just always want to make sure that they're included. So we go through to the middle school. We have a president, myself, and then a treasurer and a secretary. It is going to be our treasurer's second year and brand new secretary. We also have some advisory council members. As you can see, there's not that many of us. We do have a few other parents that are involved and help us out with things. But the nice thing is like people don't need to make like a full commitment to do things. You can kind of jump in and out. Like if you like an activity and you want to help with that, that's something that you're able to do. We have monthly meetings of the advisory council. Anybody can come to those meetings, even if you're not an elected member. It's just where, we go through, hash out everything that is happening. We'll have kind of spur off meetings for different activities as needed. We've been doing the monthly meetings mostly virtual. I find that works better for a bunch of like parents in the evening. It's a lot easier to hop on your computer than like leave the house. And then we have 3 all-parent meetings per school year, 1 at each of the schools. Some meetings. Just going to kind of go over like what some of our activities and the things that we do throughout the year. So we always start off the year with Stock the Lounge. This is where for all 3 schools, and then each 4K site gets like a little box full of snacks and different drinks and coffees. And this year we did a supply fundraiser, which went very well. This is a very successful event. I delivered to all 3 schools, and I had like an entire SUV load full of boxes for each school. It was amazing. The supply list we did through an Amazon wish list, so I'm sure the delivery drivers like my house. It was crazy. But the community was very generous. This is all done by community donations of these physical items, and then we also usually supplement with PTO funds just to kind of round out the food a little bit. But this year was an amazing show, and we did this year because of the supplies. We did it during like teacher work week, the week that they all come back before school, instead of doing the first day of school. And we got a lot of good response about that. Like, it's easier when they don't have their kids to like come in and then grab what they need. And we wanted to make sure they had the supplies before the first day of school. So I think we'll stick with doing it during that week
Look at all those crayons.
as well. Yes, it's like, and each school is a little different. All three, we asked how we did the supplies is I asked the three principals, and then they reached out to like their leads in their building, and so we got some suggestions. All three schools had some of the same thing, and then all varying different by needs compared to, because as you imagine, like MPS and IMMS especially, like need very different things. But it all worked out very well. It's one of my favorite things because people always get very happy when you like bring them food to the new pens. Yeah. Yeah. Oops. Go back that way. Oh, I'm all messed up now. Sorry. We will go back. And I lost myself again. It's like glitching with its sharing.
While you're finding it, Sam, I do want to comment that it was really nice, like the sign up and the Amazon wish list was really easy. It made it very accessible and easy for people who, like me, sometimes run short on time, and
Right.
it's easy to click and it's done in 2 minutes. So
Yes,
thank you for that.
Yep.
I liked it too, and then it was, things like came in little by little, like at my house, instead of having like a time, like you have to drop it off on these 2 days. It was just really easy. So our next event, which has been going on, I don't remember when Michaela started it. Like it's definitely like during COVID, is our trunk or treat. So we always do it at MPS. That works out really well because that's the target age group, and it has that nice lawn parking lot with like the one-way street on the side. So there's less traffic when there's hundreds of kids in costumes walking around. So it works out really well. We had about 20 trunks. So this is just done. I send an email to people who have signed up in the past, and then I just post it on Facebook. And businesses and individuals sign up. I think a lot of people think it's a lot of fun. We raise money, just like a couple $100 through like a change war. And so that is everybody votes for who their favorite trunk is by like putting change in the jar. So these are our winners. That was Next Home Metro. And they won. So that was fun this year. We are discussing about revamping it for next year a little. I can talk about it more, but just having the different like family fun or like carnivals and things at the school, that during this time of year, it seems like it might be good, instead of having a separate carnival at that school, to include it in this event. And then it can be like fall themed, and I'm all about themes, and fall is a fun theme. And they're already there. And so we're gonna discuss that, but kind of in like some of the changes. But this is always good. We always have like 500 kids. All the trunks like provide their own candy, and then we ask for donations for candy, so that I just usually like keep it up by me, and then if people run out of candy. But everybody's been pretty good, and most of the trunks, they have done it year after year, so they kind of know what is happening now. The next other things we do is we assist in the WIS and the IMMS family fun nights. So those 2 events are run by the district just with our assistance. So each one looks a little bit different. For WIS, we helped spread the idea for donations for the food. Because we have they do like a free trail mix. And then this year we did a raffle, which was a great success and a fundraiser for the PTO. We also assist them in helping get volunteers. At the IMMS Family Fun Night, we do the food, and this year we changed it. In the years prior, we had always sold pizza, and I'd like to move to the policy of that if there's a school event and there's food being served, there's some type of free food available when the PTO is involved. Just to make sure that anybody that wants food is able to access food. And so we've done that at a few events, and then we put out a donation box. And honestly, because it was like the carnivals last year and this year, we've like made about the same amount of money. because people donate and it's all based on what you can. Like there's $1 and then there's like a $50 bill in there. And I think it creates like a nice equitable environment for just to have, if there's food available, it's accessible to anyone. So this year, because we had done pizza in the past, Pizza Hut actually donated 40 pizzas to us for the IMMS Family Fun Night. So that's how we were able to provide free pizza. So I can't guarantee that to anybody watching in the future. That was an amazing donation. We went through every piece of pizza, but it was the perfect amount because we just finished as the night was wrapping up. So that was an amazing donation by Pizza Hut. And then also at the Family Fun Night, we basically run the escape room, just say we'll take control of this, we'll make sure that there's volunteers and everything like that. So that's our involvement in those. Then we also provide conference meals. So twice a year on conferences, teachers and I believe some staff at each of the 3 schools and 4K, all 4K sites get it as well, get a meal. So each school picks a day and time and tells us how many people there are. So some schools like to have it during lunchtime, and some people want it during night when they're there for the conferences. This year, for both times, actually, we used Cranberry Creek, and they've been really great to work with. They gave us a discounted rate, and the meals are all individually packaged, and they come with drinks. So we find it very convenient for the staff. That is that. That I would say is one of our highest expenses per year because we're feeding 200 people, each their own individual meal. So a lot of our funds, this year, we were really happy with our raffle results because we're this is going to pay for a huge chunk of the fall conference meals. Our next big event was a Staff Appreciation Week. So we got a generous donation this year of $1,500, specifically earmarked for Staff Appreciation Week. So we had 3 events. The first thing is we kicked it off with yard signs in Chalk the Walk. So at all 3 schools and the 3 4K sites, families were invited on the Sunday before that week to come chalk the walk and just write encouraging messages to teachers and decorate, and that went over well. A lot of kids had fun with that. Then we also purchased these yard signs. So that was an expense that came out of that generous donation because these are going to be reusable. That was our thought. And so each school and 4K sites had these yard signs all around the teachers' parking lot. So the whole week when they pulled in, they're double-sided. That's each side. And then we also had a breakfast and coffee bar, and then we did supplies again. So the coffee bar and the supplies were through the Amazon wish list. This was toned down a lot from the fall supplies, but it still went over well. We just did writing utensils, and people, they really, really like the flare pens. Okay, so if anyone's watching, your teachers like flare pens. And so, they're very, very happy. And so we decorated, and that was all cute. And that we had a different committee for, and that was a lot of work and volunteers making sure everyone was at each site because we were at each school 3 times that week. There's some other miscellaneous things that we participate in. So there's an author visit scheduled for next year that we have already been contacted about. So I believe the librarians say that is funded through the Scholastic Book Fair, and we're purchasing a book from that author for each classroom. So that will go, so each classroom will have a book. This year we did field day T-shirts for the kindergarten teachers with the new school name on them because no one has T-shirts with the new school name. So they had the field day T-shirts with that. We also provided the 8th grade ambassador snacks. So in the beginning of the school year, so they got loaded up on snacks for their little thing. We also take requests for funding help. So that was, the field day T-shirts was a parent idea that reached out to us. The 8th grade, that was Fred Bartman was hey, would you guys be willing to do that? So we do, if there are requests from club leaders and teachers for specific things, you can always contact me, and then we discuss that, and as the budget allows, we'll assist with things like that. Our other like really big project is yearbooks. So we are responsible for the EC through 5 yearbooks. And this works different than the middle school and the high school yearbooks. So every single child in EC through 5 gets a yearbook regardless of payment. This is done by that we charge a few dollars more per yearbook than what they cost us.
How much is the cost per book for us?
Parents are charged $15, and I believe ours is 10, 11 something.
Yeah.
Total, they cost us, our invoice is like $13,000. And so that is done. Lisa Crane does that, where she like works with the photography company, and they make like the extra little pages, you know, with the photos that aren't just the classes. This has been a challenge, this model, the past few years. So this year we balanced out, we raised $86 more than what the yearbooks cost us. Okay. In the past, we've had to cover like over $1,000. So because it's just a fee in Infinite Campus, and so it is an optional fee that is not required. So some people skip over it. There was a thing like, I'm sure it's just done by mistake, like, oh, I'll pay that later. We do know that some people know that they get one regardless if they pay or not. So it is important if you have the ability to pay for a yearbook, that you pay for your child's yearbook.
Do you feel like the demand nowadays is as high as it might have been, whatever, 10 years ago? You know, I think virtually everybody got one. Especially the kids in high school, do they continue to?
I'm not sure about high school. I know the little kids really like them.
Yeah, right.
You know, like my niece, like she's in 4K and her brother's in 1st grade, and he got his like 2 days before. She's like, she calls me, Samantha, do I get a yearbook too? I was like, yes, you do, honey. It's coming. Like, because my sister's like, Doctor, the little kids do like it in flip through. So this year we did add a donation button in Infinite Campus to say like donate a yearbook. I haven't looked through exactly all the details of our Infinite Campus collections to see if that had a difference. So this, I think we're going to do messaging. We did notice, I think, a difference when we stopped sending home paper about the yearbooks. So, you know, everything has moved so digital, where with the younger kids, we'd send home like, you know, the old school thing, like buy your child's yearbook, send a check-in. And then on the paper, we're like able to write more, you know, about it. And like, because it used to be a fundraiser like a while ago, like I'm talking like 10 years ago, it would actually make money. But it still had the same policy. So I can't, you know, write a paragraph in the Infinite Campus fee section. Like, so this again is just one of the challenges kind of with communications and things that we need to adjust. But this year, you know, we raised it was $86 we raised. So that's better. We're on the right track, but it's just kind of something that needs to keep an eye on, and like messaging. So if anybody, you know, you hear them talking about the younger kids' yearbooks, it's just every kid. And, you know, we discussed not doing that. And I was like, I'm not going to have like a kindergartner be the only one in their classroom not having a yearbook. I'm just not doing that. So we just we'll make it work while we can. Take it year by year. And then, this is a good segue into finances. So we raised about $26,000 and we spent about $26,000. That does include the yearbooks. So that's about half of it, because the yearbooks, I believe, were right around $13,000. The school, so each school, we write the schools a check each year with our remaining funds. So we split our bank account balance with money for us to start the year with, because it takes money to make money. And then we split it in 3 between the 3 schools. So the school check should be about $3,000 each, and that's not an exact number. We kind of still have some no-hassle stuff like piling in. and they will get those in the fall. So they spend that money on all sorts of different things. It is completely up to the discretion of the school. We have no requirements of these checks. We just trust and know what they're doing. I have had sometimes the principals be like, what do you think about this? Like a new idea, but it is just up to them. They spend money on like the kindness retreat, the book vending machine at MPS, field trip fees, daily snacks that are kept in the office for kids that need a snack, the ice cream welcome back at like supplies. They can use the money for that. Spartan Stars shirts for children whose fees have been unpaid. Things like the Olympiad. So it's all those little miscellaneous, and to kind of just supplement and make activities go a little bit further. Our fundraising methods include the school supply toolbox. So that is parents can just like go on the website and you just pick what grade your kid is in and like your last name box, and you pay it and you end up with the box at your front door of all the supplies on their list. So that will be coming out soon. And then we also have, we get Infinite Campus donations at registration. There is a PTO, just $5 optional donation fee. Raffles, that's been like a new thing the past couple years. Those have gone really well. I think people like those. We have the donations for free food at events that we get. We have, we've had some businesses donate us money, and then we have the No Hassle fundraiser, which is this no hassle, as you say. We basically send out an email and say, we need money to pay for these things, and people send us Venmo and checks. And it works out really well because no one really wants to go sell like wrapping paper and things. But, you know, we need to raise money for these events to happen. And that's just the way that it works now, and it's surprisingly easy for everyone. Let me see. So our greatest successes are monetary and physical donations. So the, you know, the food and stuff, we have a supplement here and there, but we've never had like a gigantic disaster before where we don't have any donations at all. Our greatest challenge is volunteers. So we had to cancel the MPS Carnival this year, which was a very hard decision on my part, and I did not want to do it. But in order, it needed to be done because it's irresponsible to run an event with over 500 people in attendance and not have enough volunteers. It's just not, it's irresponsible. This has been a consistent problem. I'm really big on then being like, hi friends, I really need like one more person at this date. Can someone help me out? Like it's just constant stress and struggle for volunteers. That is going to be like in the thing that we are starting to work on next year is one of our advisory members is going to kind of work on a volunteer coordinator role. And we're looking into developing that and like adding it to our bylaws to have like an actual role. I believe that there are opportunities in town to connect with organizations, to connect with some of the high school clubs, to connect like with parents on different ways. However, all of that takes a lot of time and effort, and with the duties of the officers and then the person planning the event, like for example, MPS, Mandy, our treasurer, was the lead on MPS. So she is planning all of the activities, doing all of that, also doing the treasurer position, and then to have to try to find all these volunteers. So the fact of the matter is, like, we need help to find help, right? And so that is going to be like a focus next year. We have some ideas for that. So we are going to be at Picture Day. I have to finalize details with Angie. But I think Picture Day is a very underutilized time in this school district because every single parent, especially if we're targeting under 8th grade, enters that cafeteria in a 2-day period. And so it is the easiest way to access them and like get in front of them and actually like talk to them as opposed to just like another email, right? Everybody gets the emails. So I'm actually thinking this year we might do a raffle because then people will come up to us more if there's things to look at. And then it would start us off with some funding for the beginning of the year. That's all going to be in works, but we will be there in some way. We like to like improve our communications. We are going to start having like a standard spot in the school newsletter. So in every single newsletter, there's a spot and it doesn't change. It's in the exact same spot that's like PTO updates. So every week there will be something else. We'll continue to add like special event things and flyers, but there's gonna be like an actual spot. Considering things like making our own email list and having our like a newsletter. Because right now we use school communications, which is good because obviously as parents would give us permission. But if we can collect our own emails, that might help to have a little bit more reminders. We're looking into possibly more paper flyers being sent home, especially at MPS. Those parents are very fast, by the way, because with the no hassle, we sent it home and the Venmo started going off at like 3:05. I'm like, you guys are fast. I'm like, you're just open your kids' backpacks
done, yeah.
right away. Well, with those younger grades, they do go in their backpacks every day, right? With the older grades, with like especially the middle school, like those papers never make it to their parents. So maybe kind of looking at like targeting that if paper is something that we do need to kind of shift back to in a very targeted way. I'm open to ideas. If any of you would like to have a cup of coffee and tell me what you think I should do, I would like to hear it. Because we do a lot of things good and we can do things better and we can do more. So that is all that I have. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, that's my PTO email address. Anybody watching, we could always use more help.
What do you think the average commitment, like time commitment for volunteers would be? Just like as a PTO member, not necessarily at events and things like that.
Anything that you really want it to be. So, like I said, you can, like, people can come to the advisory meeting, which is about like, it's supposed to be an hour, but I talk, so it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And like, that's like once per month, and it's just kind of like giving like your ideas or your thoughts, or we should do this. And then if you want to, you know, plan a carnival, that's all kind of subjective, the week of it more, depending on like how heavy things are. There's other people who are like, hey, this is what I got going on. This is all I can do this year. At all of our events, though, the shifts are usually only an hour. I try to keep them in an hour. And I always try to have like 2 people per stand. So if you want to bring a friend. So that I think is like the most accessible would be to volunteer at an event. One thing about that I would suggest to other people is considering volunteering at an event that your child, at a school that your child does not attend. So that's one of the troubles. So if it's at MPS, right? And you have an MPS student, then you want to like bring them there. And if you don't have another like person available to watch your kid, or they're right, like it just makes it more difficult. So I think it'd be nice for some like community building, like if we, you know, oh, like I only have a 7th grader, so I'll go help with the kindergartners, and then maybe the kindergarten parents like, oh, I'll help with the 7th graders, like to kind of to make it a community thing, because we really need a lot of volunteers, and we kind of look at that way, because we saw like events just can't happen without it.
Well, and that's why I asked, because I think some people might feel like it has to be a really big commitment when it could be just an hour here or there, or an hour once a month, or so.
Yeah, it's super flexible. You can come in and you can like completely lead a carnival, or you can just show up whenever you want. Like all different levels of help are needed at this point.
I will say, I did volunteer at the carnival
You did.
last year. It was super fun.
It is
You've all
fun.
heard my face painting horror stories. I will also say, I was not even aware that y'all were needing volunteers for the carnival this year until
Yes.
Aaron mentioned it in our board meeting.
Yes, so that is a challenge then with communication. So
Yeah.
we need to also look at, there's a lot of things on my list. I'd like to sit down maybe with the principals and with Aaron, like to have an actual like email communication policy with the PTO using school resources. Because I know we always have that thing, how many emails is too many emails? Do people want emails? Do we not want emails? And so I deal with that too, like how many emails can I send out before this event? And then we also do things though, like for like MPS, it was only going to MPS parents. So you wouldn't have gotten the email. And I post on Facebook, but if you don't see it, you don't see it. And then maybe like additionally too, like in the other school newsletters. So, or even just ambassadors around town. Like, if any of you see the PTO need something, tell somebody else. Like, it's hard. And you're always going to have people that you miss, you know. People are like, I never heard about this, and my kid goes to that school. I'm like, well, it was in the school newsletter for 4 weeks, and I sent 2 emails. I don't, like, but then she still didn't, right? So how do you reach someone like that? That's the question. And it's the same question as you all have with all, like, other communications. And I watch it, and I'm like, yeah, see, this is my point. I don't, go some, like, brainstorming about other ways
Yeah.
to communicate.
Snapchat.
Something. That's like the kids. Maybe if that's how I
Boy.
want to get high school volunteers is
Yeah.
Snapchat. So,
Start a TikTok.
Gosh. Well, thank you. This is really
Yeah,
helpful.
thank you so much.
yes.
I'm glad that you thought of it. I'm sad that it didn't occur to us. So let's make this an annual thing or.
Yes, I like it. I think
For
it's
sure.
good for everybody to know what's going on because we do a lot of things throughout the year, and I kind of like putting it all together as well because it's like, wow, as opposed to step by step, it seems slower and less.
Just,
Yep.
just know that the district appreciates all you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the work you
Absolutely.
put in.
Thank you. I
Pretty
appreciate
amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
really is.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. Next, we have Mr. Ackley with the athletic update.
Also a new report.
Yeah, another new, it's like the night of new reports. Also looking forward to having this one more regularly.
Just give me a minute to get set up.
Absolutely.
My computer battery isn't always the greatest, so Angie's
Oh, look at that.
It's
That
your
is,
pot of power.
that is, oh, that's a good, you are in marketing.
Uh-huh. Pot of power. Just comes to
Alliteration
me
when
out
in
of
doubt.
We are a pot of power.
Oh, snap. I just saw a commercial, like a flash of the 5 of us walking down the street. You know, like they do.
Yeah.
That would be really funny.
All right. So I think Angie's gonna go ahead and share a quick doc with you, but I also have some hard copies, just because I'm a little bit of a hard copy person.
We like handouts. We're used to the handouts with Mr.
I like handouts.
Tarnitzer.
Yeah, so if we think handouts will suffice, then let's go
Oh,
and do
boy.
it. Aaron can go back to his teaching
The
days to a
paper's
certain extent.
compostable. I'm
That's
just
right.
kidding. It's not.
You
gonna be
really
part
do
of the
hand them
Eco
out well, like
Club's focus
he's
for
right.
next
It's like
year.
you're just like a teacher.
Compostable paper.
Brings you back.
Thank you.
All right.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, I think so. And then all those other paperclip ones can be handed out too if we'd like. All right. How you doing, Bruce?
Good.
Looks like you're up north.
We are up north.
Good for you.
It's like the
Good
voice
for
of
you.
God coming from behind.
Oh.
All right. I'll go ahead and get started. I think most of you should have received this document, correct? So just
Yep.
kind of an informational sheet to kind of start out with. So Mr. Tarnitzer is passing around just some links that are in there, but again, a hard copy for you to use. And then just some other informational stuff that we'll go over. So Bruce, sorry that you won't have the hard copies, obviously, but if you have a laptop, I think Angie is going to send out the doc. Already did, so
Yep.
it could be in your inbox if you want to look at that. If not, we'll try to explain it to the best we can for you virtually.
Thank you.
I can sure stop by sometime too, Paul.
You betcha.
It
All
should
right.
be in your email already.
Yeah, great. Well, again, just thank you for the opportunity. Just want to make sure that I start off by thanking the Board of Education as well as Mr. Tarnitzer for providing me the opportunity to meet with you tonight and share with you information regarding the MHS Athletic Department. It's been a while since I've been here, so it's nice to kind of be back and talk a little bit. and share with you some things that, I think Aaron and I looked at and thought were important to share to start out with. So first, I'd like to share with you our participation numbers. I think that's a question that a lot of people always have. So you can look at the first, I guess it would be the second handout that Aaron handed out to you. It's kind of the colorful one. The orange page would be our fall sports, the blue page would be our winter sports, and then our green page would be our spring sports. And it's been amazing to have Leah Polis hired on the last 3 years as my assistant, because prior to that, I didn't necessarily have a dedicated assistant, so it was great to get Leah involved. And she's been able to track a lot of great things for us, what being one of them being this. So starting in the fall of 22, you can look at our fall sports of boys soccer, cross country, dance, football, girls golf, girls swimming, girls tennis, and volleyball, girls volleyball. And you can look at the participation numbers from the fall of 22, 23, and 24. You can see that many of the numbers are fairly consistent with what is going on and what's in each individual sport. We do try to list our managers, because when you do a poll on Infinite Campus, our managers we want to have sign up as well in case we have any type of issues or concerns, food allergies, medications, accidents that would occur, that we still have the emergency contact information for our managers. So with that being said, you can look at the fall information there and flip over to the next page if you would like. Not as many sports in the wintertime that we offer, but obviously boys and girls basketball, boys and girls hockey, boys swim, dance again. Dance is a 2-season sport. And then we also have boys and girls wrestling as well. And so you can see that we have some participation by both genders in our wrestling program as well here at the high school. And again, our wrestling program is one in which we co-op with Monona Grove, and we've done that now for, oh goodness, I would say a good 10 years with them as well. So, and then flipping to the next page, just trying to move along because I know you have a busy agenda. Looking at our spring totals. We have baseball and boys golf, boys tennis, girls soccer. We have boys and girls lacrosse. Again, that is a co-op that we have with the School District of Oregon. Softball, track and field, and then ultimate frisbee isn't obviously a sanctioned sport through the WIA, but it is a sport-based club, and so I do oversee that with just transportation, practice facilities, game schedules, things of that nature. So you can see the spring numbers there. All right. So that just gives you kind of an idea of a rolling 3-year participation numbers in regards to each individual sport.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
As we go, okay. So I noticed in the spring, from
Yep.
23 to 24,
Yep.
the participation, just total, was a lot more. Like it went from 132 boys.
I take it, are you looking at the next handout that we'll be going over?
No, the green one.
Okay, the green, okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you.
Just, and then spring of 24, there were 179 boys who participated, and then 107 for girls and 119. Any idea what the big jump was?
In regards to the boys,
Yeah, just like a lot more participation, and then it stayed kind of similar.
a lot of it has to do with the enrollment in the grades and the breakdown in which the genders have. So, we have, for example, this graduating senior class, and again, don't hold me to these numbers, but I believe we had 110 boys and 71 girls. So when you have that's a pretty big discrepancy in regards to genders within your grade. So
Sure.
therefore, our girls' numbers might not be as high in that senior class, where our boys' numbers would be high because we have more boys to participate.
Sure.
I know our other classes, again, not having it right in front of me, but our other classes are more balanced in regards to boys and girls. There's just some grades where, we have a low enrollment.
Yeah.
And that might just be part of just a cycle coming through. I believe our incoming freshman class is a low enrollment class, where we just kind of get a little bit of a dip. But
Got it.
then I think our 7th grade class is our biggest class in the entire district with 200 plus kids.
Oh,
Our
yeah, wow.
incoming 8th grade group.
Okay.
So a lot of it you know, there's no one reason for it, in all
It's not like we
honesty.
added a sport or something. It was just, okay.
Right,
I
yeah.
was just curious.
Sorry, I had a question.
Do you feel like that's an issue at all? You know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. You offer many, many opportunities. Is that at the cost of maybe some of the other, I mean, does it dilute the number of participants in your other sports when you add sports?
There's always that possibility. I mean, we're a school of roughly 750 kids, and we offer 25, whether it's club-based or sanctioned, 25 of the 26 WI sanctioned sports. Middleton has 2,300 kids in their high school, roughly, and they're offering 26. So we're offering one less sport that a school of 2,300 is offering. So there's always that possibility, Craig, that, you know, we do offer a lot of things, and it could spread our numbers throughout the sports. Now, the other flip side of that is you have participation opportunities, right?
Bet.
We're a school of, like I said, mid-700s, and we offer lacrosse. We offer wrestling. We offer boys volleyball right now as a club, looking at the possibility of moving forward with that in a co-op opportunity. So there's just a lot of sports that we offer that could spread out your participation rates.
So one question I had looking at girls' basketball for this current year, it said there were 18 girls, including a manager, and then 5 had quit. So did we initially start the season off with 23?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
okay.
And again, you know, addressing individual sports, there's always rhymes and reasons for
Yeah.
all
I just
all
wanted to make
reasons,
sure I was
but,
reading it right.
Yep, yep. All right, so we'll put that over here. And then we'll go with our next handout. So if you go down on the next bullet there, next I'd like to take a deeper dive into each, I guess, season, not sport per se, for additional information that you may find interesting. I want to thank Michelle Eversole for setting this report up through Infinite Campus. This report provides you specific information regarding each sport we have in our athletic department. Again, it's more of a seasonal outlook, not necessarily each sport, and you can access for the fall and seasonal information. So if I click on that link, I believe it takes us to the fall sport. What that does is it breaks down information in regards to how many 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders we have participating in the fall, and it gives you a total. It gives you the total number of males in our school and the total number of females in our school. And then it gives you the percentage of males in a fall sport and percentage of females in a fall sport. It also then takes their grade point average. It looks at the average male term GPA, the average female term GPA. If you follow that roll over, it also talks about a cumulative GPA. Obviously, you know, it's a big emphasis for us in regards to student athlete, right, at education-based athletics, an extension of the classroom. So we want to make sure that our student athletes are, you know, doing well in the classroom as well as on the court, field, rink, whatever it might be. So it kind of gives you a kind of a synopsis. It also breaks it down kind of in diversity in regards to what Infinite Campus has as diverse categories. And you can see a breakdown in percentages in regards to that as well for our fall, winter, and spring seasons. And again, you know, in the fall, we offer, you know, more female sports per se than male because we have, you know, boys soccer, but then we have boys cross country and football, but we also have girls cross country, girls golf, girls swimming, girls tennis, and girls volleyball. So your percentages are going to be a little bit skewed in regards to the sports that are offered within that season. Okay?
It's so interesting. The GPAs are they're so consistent.
Very consistent. I noticed that as well.
That's pretty typical though, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, again, it's been a while since I've run this report and shared it with the board, but it's a great opportunity here today to be able to do that. So, you know, I would say that in my past experiences, I would say that most teams and seasons are pretty consistent with our grade point.
Would you know a ballpark percentage of the students that begin in these sports, but end up leaving them over time? The numbers within the class decrease or increase, from 9th to 12th?
I mean, I think it depends on the sport, to be honest with you. I think every sport finds
Yeah.
itself a little, decline in participation over the years. Freshman year, I think the mindset of our freshmen or even families coming in as freshmen would be, hey, try things, right?
Yep.
Give it a shot. It's your freshman year. You don't really know what you're going to like. You don't really know, what some friends might be going out that you want to be hanging out with. But then as you get going in your sophomore and junior and senior year, you might get a job, right? You might have other sports that you want to put more focus on. Multiple sport athletes is something that's becoming more and more of a challenge in our school district, but not just our school district, other school districts, because, there's just so many opportunities for kids to participate in sports on a year-round basis. So I would say that without having numbers right in front of me, Craig, I would say that yes, it probably is fairly common in most sports that as you go from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, your numbers are going to have a
Sure.
slight decline in regards to it for multiple reasons. All right. We'll set that one aside. And then just talking a little bit about, obviously, with the referendum that we had, so generously passed through our community, we want to make sure that we work hard this school year to be fiscally responsible. I'm not saying that we weren't working hard to be fiscally responsible in the past, but obviously a point of emphasis through our athletic department, working with the district office and high school administration, and assure you that our focus will still stay on fiscal responsibility and will continue to be a point of emphasis through our athletic department. So some of the expenses that we have within our department that I think you could probably figure out on your own, but obviously just as our budget, we have coaching salaries for all of the coaches that we have. We have transportation costs to get our athletes to and from contests. We have officials pay to make sure that we have a safe environment for our contest to participate in, whether it's an umpire, a referee, an official. Supplies, whether it's bats, balls, nets, whatever it might be per the individual sport. You have to have supplies for the student athletes. Athletic entry fees. So when we go to an invitational, a tournament, something of that nature where there's multiple teams, often we are asked as a school to provide whatever it might be, $200, $250, $175 to participate in that invite or that tournament to help that host school cover their costs, whether it be referees, umpires, timing systems, things of that nature, workers. We also have athletic training services, right? We're blessed to have a great athletic trainer in Jay Hansen. He's been with our school district for 22 years, which is really unheard of. He is constantly working throughout the summer as well as the school year to make sure that our athletes are staying safe, having rehabilitation on their injuries, getting them in to see UW sports medicine doctors if needed, and getting them back out onto their activities as soon as possible. So those are some of our expenses. Obviously, it's not all of them, but that's some of the major ones that I could think of. But then also to offset those expenses, we have revenues. Obviously, it's our seasonal registration, so every sport, every participant has a sport fee that they pay through the school district. As you guys, I think in our earlier June or maybe late May board, we went through all the fees and passed the fees.
Yep.
So that's what I'm talking about there. Gate admission income. So anytime we are getting gate for an event or getting admission for an event, that will go into our general athletic fund through our district office. Student athletic passes, so we offer high school students, middle school students, Wabisa students opportunities to purchase an athletic pass to go to events where they can just bring their student ID, their student identification. They can take a picture of it on their phone because their kids will always have their phones on them, but maybe not always their ID. And they can just show that to the ticket taker, and then they get in for free. And then we also have something new, something new that we started, I believe it was 2 years ago, was our family athletic pass, where we advertise that through our registration, advertise it through our sports newsletter per se, registration opportunities for parents and families to buy athletic passes for their families. So those are some expenses and revenues within our budget, working hard with the district office and the high school administration to stay fiscally responsible in regards to that.
I know football's generally more expensive than any other, but just to give an idea of what those costs are, how much does a new football helmet cost nowadays?
A brand-new football helmet that we purchase is $385, and that's a small, medium, large. And if we get an extra large helmet, then it's additional cost of, I think, $415 or $420 for those helmets. So
And you're required to turn those over, what, every,
they have a 10-year cycle, but we have to recondition them every other year. And the reconditioning costs are, it could be anywhere from $35 to $42 roughly per helmet, depending on the needs of the helmet. Need a lot of parts, it's gonna be more. Need a new paint job, it'll be a little bit more. Need a new face mask, things of that nature.
And last year, we did add a helmet fee
Mhm.
for
Yep.
football specifically.
Correct, yeah,
And
we
I
did
will
add
say,
that.
as a mom of football players, I'm totally happy to pay that fee for a better helmet.
for a better helmet?
Yeah, and that fee, we just explained it to the football parents as it's a reconditioning fee. And there's other schools that do that because if our participation fee wouldn't cover all of those costs. So we need a little help in having a reconditioning fee in regards to that.
Well, and just a reminder for those who may be watching, the revenues, for like seasonal registration, when we reviewed those back in May, you guys have done an outstanding job of keeping those costs low and manageable through the years. So when we're looking for examples of our district being fiscally responsible, this is a really good example that we saw very negligible increases in some grades and times where there were no changes. So congratulations and good work on continue to being fiscally responsible.
Thank you,
Yeah,
we
it's a
we
great point.
appreciate that.
Great
How-
point.
How many, if any, kids do you lose during the season to academic ineligibility? Because I know you have,
Yeah, I mean, it would be, again, it all depends, your percentages is all gonna depend on the participation rates, right? So fall, spring, you know, I would say it's minimal, to be very honest with you.
right,
Very minimal. The more often situation is an incomplete grade, not a failing grade. So in our academic eligibility criteria, you have student athletes have to have a 1.75 grade point average and not failing any classes to be eligible for athletics. And if they have an incomplete, they are technically ineligible until that incomplete, until that incomplete gets changed to a passing grade and they have that within 10 days. So a lot of the time it's, end of the semester, end of the grading period, kind of that 9-week midterm progress grade. A lot of it has to do with maybe they just have to reassess. Our students get an opportunity to take a class or take a test again, do a summative assessment again, a formative assessment again, and just be able to kind of work that grade up. I can say in the years that I've been here as a coach and athletic director, I can honestly say that our teachers are very active in making sure that not only all students, but our student athletes have an opportunity to get eligible. And if the student athlete is failing a class, I would probably guess that it's well-earned on their part and not given by the teacher.
Well,
So
Yeah.
it's, going to school here myself many years ago and knowing the teachers and the educators that we have in these hallways, they're working very hard to make sure that our students and student athletes are academically responsible.
Well, and going back to the seasonal data, I mean, the average cumulative GPA is a 3.4.
isn't that something?
I mean, so it seems like that it would be a very low percentage,
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would say we're more likely to lose a player for eligibility due to a co-curricular violation of another type, that they violated the co-curricular code with behavior
Sure,
correct.
yeah.
than
Yeah, I would-
academically.
I would deal more with those types of athletic code violations than an academic one.
I had a question just about booster clubs and funds that they raise. How do you incorporate those into your budget?
No. So this year now, being tasked, the 10% cut budget-wide that we had talked about as a district, once we got that referendum, fundraising, Spartan sponsor account that we have through our athletic department, individual booster accounts. Each sport, many sports, I shouldn't say each, but many sports have a account here at the high school or in the district office where they could do a fundraising, whether it be coffee sales, fundraising cards, car washes. We had just a team recently volunteer their services at the Bratfest, and they got a check for their times there. That money would go into what we call their Fund 21 account. That Fund 21 account then is helpful in the fact of one of the things that we really had to look at because the cost was getting increasing quite rapidly were uniforms. And so when I talked to Mr. Tarnitzer and Mr. Mahoney in regards about uniforms, is we put somewhat of a freeze on uniforms this year. There were two programs that we really needed to catch up because we had been a little late on getting them the uniforms that they needed. And so we were able to have some Spartan sponsor money, which is our athletic department fundraising, where we get through our Spartan sponsor program, as well as our Bill Garvey Memorial Golf Outing with the MEF and the athletic department. And that money really then helps out with any kind of additional supplies, uniform costs, things of that nature that our budget can't support, or that would just take our budget up too high if we would continue to put that into our budget. Now, as we move on and as we look at our budget, we're hopeful that, like specifically uniform costs, because obviously that's needed in a school district, that we could start to put that back into our athletic budget and not have to use so much of our fundraising accounts for that, individual programs, but also Spartan sponsor program, so that those funds can be used more for things specifically, supplies that we might not be able to look at or purchase for specific groups. But every group's a little bit different. Every sport's a little bit different in regards to fundraising, but they all have that opportunity within our district office to have an account there to put that money in and then use it for additional costs that would come up over the season.
Maybe, well, I'm sure either one of you could answer it, but I know, there's folks out there that simply can't afford, the athletic fees and such. And it's always been my understanding that this district finds a way to make sure that anyone that wants to participate in these opportunities will be able to do that. Is that a fund set aside on the administration side, or is that your responsibility?
In my experiences, a lot of the opportunities of student athletes that might not be able to afford the athletic fee is that typically those families would qualify for free and reduced lunch. And our district policy would be that if they qualify for free and reduced lunch, when you apply for that, you then check a box within that online application of who would you like to have notified. And if you check athletics, then when we run our FRAM report, our free and reduced report, then that automatically works with Infinite Campus. And when that student athlete would register for a sport, that fee is going to be automatically waived. So that does a certain group or percentage of the athletes that want to do that. And in fact, it's probably the largest percentage of it. So we have that opportunity there where we waive the fee for anybody who qualifies for free and reduced lunch. If there would be a family that doesn't qualify for free and reduced lunch, but has a challenge with the fee, at all of our parent meetings and in my video in regards to sports registration, we talk about if there's a financial concern on your family side, please feel free to contact the athletic department and we'll work with the athletic department in regards to that fee. Typically, it can be waived. If it needs to be supplemented, that's something that, again, our Spartan sponsor account could help out with. Or I have other businesses, contacts, people in the community that would be more than willing and have come to me and said, listen, if you have a student athlete that needs help, please let us know, and people have been more than happy to step forward with that.
McFarland seems very generous in that way.
Absolutely, I've noticed that too. Good questions, appreciate that. I'll go to the very last part here. I did my best, it's kind of like when you're at a banquet and you want to try to recognize your student athletes, and there's always going to be something that I probably forget. So for the people watching or listening, to the board members here, I do my best to think back to August and the highlights, try to get some major highlights in regards to our athletic department this year. So in the fall, our boys soccer team was our sectional runner-up. Volleyball was a D1 regional final. They played in the D1 regional final, and they were bumped up to D1 because of the performance factor points that the WIA had just installed that year. So because of our recent success in girls volleyball with state runners-up in 21 and 23, that moved us up to D1. So that was kind of one of those situations where I was
Great job.
very very proud of that team to get past the regional game and get into the regional final game in that team. We hosted the Badger Girls Tennis Tournament. That is a 16-team tournament at the Nielsen Tennis Facility for all Badger Conference schools. It's a ginormous tournament. Goes over 2 days. Todd Lacey, our girls tennis coach and boys tennis coach, did a phenomenal job in running that and making sure that it ran smoothly, and that's a large event. We also hosted the D2 girls swim sectional here at McFarland. Our pool is one of the best around, as many of you know. And so conference meets or sectional meets, we have a high tendency to host those. And again, Stu Schaefer, our community rec director, and obviously Kayla Ellison too, our assistant aquatics director, do a wonderful job of getting us set for that event as well.
Those are revenue producing
To a certain extent,
opportunities as well.
yeah,
wouldn't it?
to a certain extent. I wouldn't say we're raking it in hand over fist on some of these.
Yeah, it's
But it's definitely, what I look at it is this: it brings people into our school, which is always a benefit, and it brings people into our community, which is always a benefit. And so by doing that, we're raising the awareness within our community. Culver's, Quick Trip, Angelo's, Spartan Pizza, whatever it might be, are going to be benefiting from those families
Yep.
coming in. So,
Absolutely.
although we might not see a great financial, stipend coming from that, yes, we do make some money, but our community is generating funds from that too in our Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, it's so much work.
It's a lot of work.
I mean, last Thursday, was that when the sectional was here?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there were
Friday.
60-some
May 30th.
teams and.
Yeah, 36 high schools represented there. It's a huge event. That's probably our biggest event that we have, that we do.
Wild.
All right, winter. Winter, we obviously, as you well know, had some very nice accomplishments. We had a D2 boys state champions, and that was back-to-back in swimming. D2 state jazz dance champions. First time that we've had our dance team win a state championship. We've had some third place finishes and fourth place finishes, but this year in jazz, we were D2 state champions in jazz. Our boys hockey team made it to state, and so we say that that's in the state semifinal game or the final four for boys hockey. We had our wrestling team advance to the team sectional and participate over at Middleton, and we had many participants participating at the state meet for girls and boys. Boys basketball played in the regional final, so we had a nice participation there, and nice opportunities and achievements in the winter. Spring. Our girls track and field team were sectional champions, and what we were just talking about, hosting that event. Our girls soccer just Saturday were sectional runner-ups to Edgewood in the sectional final game. We had participation at the boys golf sectional for two boys participated in the sectional golf match. Participation at the state track and field meet for boys and girls this year, which is just 2 weekends ago, and our boys 3,200 meter relay were the state champs again, back-to-back, like our swimming team. Softball had a wonderful turnaround from last season. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Baseball was playing for a conference championship near the end of the season, in fact, right up until the last two games against Reedsburg. We hosted the boys conference tennis tournament, and we had a participant at the tennis sectional. Our girls lacrosse team had a very good conference record and played in the regional final game, losing to the Verona Co-op. And like we had spoken about earlier, we hosted the boys and girls track sectional for our community and our area. And there's only four of those in the state that are in that Division II. So feel very proud about our athletic accomplishments throughout the year. Feel very proud of our student athletes. As you can see, our participation numbers, I feel, are strong within every season. And again, we emphasize our student athletes being academic-based first and kind of an extension of our classroom. So just an opportunity to share with you some things here tonight, and just thank you again for this opportunity to talk to y'all.
Facilities are all good?
Yeah, I would say very good. We had that new building, concessions, storage, restroom, pavilion building over at Wabeesa Intermediate School, through the village and the school district with that wonderful park, the inclusive park. That just made our softball area so much better. Baseball, when we're playing that sectional, we're playing our games there near the end of the year where the grass is greening and the facility's really looking nice. People should feel, our community should feel very, very proud to walk into our stadium, our rink, now our hockey rink just got an expansion onto that as well. So I would say that a school our size should be very, very proud of the facilities in which we have.
Yeah.
I think
And
we
if
are.
if you let me make a comment there, again, your comment was at 25 out of 26 sports. There's not too many Division II schools that have that going. And we're competing against, it's amazing. And you might talk a little bit about the idea of, I guess, diluting some of our talent. But the truth of the matter is, it does give the kids an opportunity to participate. So I just wanted to add as well, just kind of like following up on Samantha's nice presentation on the PTO. You hope that if there are people listening and they're interested in getting into volunteering and the helping out with athletics, it would be helpful for all of us. This is an amazing thing that you do, Paul. So thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This
thank you.
is,
Appreciate
it's
it.
great. We've definitely, I learned a lot. I don't have kids in a ton of sports, some sports. But I did. I learned a lot, so thank you. And I look forward to,
I, again, appreciate the opportunity, so I think hopefully we make this more of an annual thing, whether it's, maybe not so much, at the end, maybe we can break it up into kind of a half and half type thing, but obviously you have a busy agenda in most meetings, so whatever you feel is appropriate, we'll go ahead and accommodate.
Awesome.
Thank you, Paul.
thank you. All right. Now we have up our discussion items. And Ms. Huey, I think we have you first for our WPN School Board Champion Onboarding Workshop.
So I attended the Wisconsin Public Education Network. Yeah, a lot of
got it.
acronyms I'm learning, team. It's, but I attended their school board onboarding workshop 3 weeks ago now, on a Wednesday evening when there was a lot happening in the district. So if you didn't see me there, I was virtually attending a really great session. And wanted to bring back, I shared some presentations and notes with the board and Mr. Tarnitzer. So a lot of information is out there, and thank you, Melanie, as well, for your reminder to the board that there was this opportunity. Definitely took advantage of it. There's a whole bunch of notes that I have, but I want to hopefully be a little bit more brief this evening and kind of share a few of the highlights that I took away from that. And one being, the first kind of grouping is lessons from other teachers in other school districts to school board members. And I think it's things we know as a school board, but it was really nice to recognize from teachers that is in fact, yes, that's the case kind of across our state, that we need to be present outside of our school board meetings and kind of go where the kids are. And then when we're there, to honor the space that our teachers and students have, and honor their various perspectives and listen critically. Sometimes I think that is a challenge. When we hear of issues, it's very easy to kind of want to jump in and fix everything. And sometimes it's a good idea just to kind of take a beat and listen. And I think we can make bigger, broader change and when we listen with that criticality. And then the last one that I kind of took away from their advice is to really name and validate hard issues. We're facing a lot of hard issues in the school district and in our state, and saying, this is hard. I think we do a good job of that as a board, but it's a nice reminder that to the teachers and those and the community who are listening. We know that money is tight, that we're always asking more of each other, and that maybe even more importantly, everything we do is a priority, because our kids are our priority. And there are a lot of priorities, you guys. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we prioritize for a reason. It doesn't make things less important, but we have to prioritize for our role, and for our board and for our superintendent and for our teachers. So everything we do is important for our kids, but really stepping back and saying, is this the right time right now for X, Y, Z thing? So those are just a couple of three things I learned from teachers. And then a couple kind of switching gears in the conversation from the workshop was to really talk about the state of school finance, which seems very appropriate with our joint finance committee decisions from the state late last week. But a few things just I think for the community to remember, those who are watching, I think we're all fairly familiar with this, so I'll try and be brief. But that referendums really are a reality across our state. We are not unique in that fact. And I thought it was interesting. They said kind of throughout every region of our very rural state, when you think about it, and across partisan lines and across rural and suburban, we all are facing the same issue. We are not unique. $1.43 billion was requested in 2025 elections in referendum across our state. We have made up 1.09 billion of that through those operational and capital referendums. So thank you to our community members who voted to support our schools. Referendums are the only way we have right now to be able to offset our increasing costs and lack of funding. And I think the other really key takeaway I took away from it was that districts right now, and will continue with the lack of decision and action at our state level, that districts have to cover the cost of unfunded special ed first for all of our students. So that means that when we don't get the reimbursement we need from the state, we have to cut into our general resources for all of our students. So it's not only impacting when we think about special education, it's not only impacting special education students, but it's impacting all of our kids. We have to take and kind of when we talked about prioritizing, we have to pull from other places to give to other places. And those are really hard decisions. So keeping that in mind. And then I think the last piece really ties into our efforts as a board and over the last couple of years, thank you, Megan, for kind of our legislative advocacy action on the committee, on the board rather, and that we need to continue to participate, which I think we've kind of jointly all do. But it's also asking our community members to do the same. Schools, I think people have heard me say this before, but schools really are the institutions that are the center of our community, of our village, and we need your help to help us advocate for shifts in our state funding and answer questions when people have them in the community. So if you have questions that you need answers to, please ask us. That's what we're here for. So if you need ideas for how to advocate, ask. We will have plenty of resources to provide you. So stay engaged, please. We appreciate you. And I think that was it. Those are kind of the big things. I'm really glad I attended. I'm really thankful that we do have state groups that are supportive and have resources for us as a district and as board members to advocate, educate, and hopefully make some change. Was that less than 10 minutes?
I don't know,
Maybe.
but it all sounded important, so it's fine.
Still. Any questions?
great.
I'm going to zip my lip on all things political right now.
Okay, so that sounds not a bad idea.
Because
That's
I'm very,
great.
very
Yeah.
angry.
It is,
It's very discouraging.
yeah.
You know, it's obvious that until something happens in an election year, that we're just not going to get school funding that's adequate.
But I would
Or
like to
close.
thank our local legislators for consistently supporting public education funding. Because if we had more legislators who felt the way ours do, I think our state public education funding would be a lot more positive.
And you don't just have to contact your representatives, you can contact any of them as frequently as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, you make a good point. We've talked about that in the past, where we're constantly giving feedback to the people who are in our corner.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so it is kind of more about getting out to the other representatives who don't, maybe don't hear from us, don't hear from our perspective. And it also feels like those representatives might not be listening to their constituents.
Yeah.
And that is disappointing in the whole process. So, yes, thank you to our local legislatures, for sure.
Well stated.
And I'd like to just add again, I wish people in the McFarland area, because we are so blessed with our community and the support that they've given us over the years. I just want to ask them to contact friends in rural areas. What would your community be without your public schools? And it's mind-boggling to me that many of these rural areas keep re-electing people who are supporting what is being proposed right now. It is mind-boggling, because the communities are nothing without the public schools.
Thank you, Meredith. That was
Thanks very
very
much.
helpful.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Aaron, District
Yes,
Administrator.
so I have
report.
some updates for you. I'm going to get into the details of what you were just alluding to.
I didn't want to steal your thunder.
That's okay, that's okay.
And it's kind of thunder.
So first
Not the good
update
kind.
is about the state biennial budget. Joint Finance Committee met, and the proposal that was approved included a few things, so I want to talk about what that was and the implications for our district. It had a very, modest is a gentle term, in my opinion, a very minimal special education reimbursement rate increase. So currently, we're at right around 30%, a little over 30% reimbursement rate. So as Meredith explained, what that means is that the remaining 70% comes from our general education funds. And so that's money that isn't going towards other things. And so what moved forward out of joint finance was increasing that to 35% next year and 37.5% the year after. And what people were feeling was a compromise was to propose 60% reimbursement, which would have been $1.8 million for our district. So the increase that was sent through joint finance will maybe keep up with inflationary costs, but not change the situation for us. So the other thing was there was no increase in general school aid. So that means that $325 per student that was approved, and that, kind of the situation with the governor's veto, will be funded by local taxpayers, not by our state. So that is something that our community will be feeling. The other thing is that it does not increase per pupil aid, and there's only minimal increases for mental health, transportation, and sparsity aid. So basically, status quo there. So reminder, we're in a deficit. We continue to be in a deficit as a school district. There were some increases to high-cost special education aid, which is, I think, a partial response to the request for increasing in special education funding, but that is a very targeted situation where costs are over $30,000 per student, and not all districts take advantage of that opportunity to receive reimbursement for that. We do. We're a district that does to the tune of about $200,000 annually. It is a some certain amount. So some certain just means the legislature says, we'll spend this much amount of money on this. Some sufficient, on the other hand, which was what we were looking for in the 60%, and of course here as well, means whatever the amount is, whatever it costs, we'll put forward. So this being some certain, so it's a specified amount, approved an increase of 50% next year, and then a reimbursement of 90%. So, the 50% would mean about $300,000 more to our district, which is welcome, and 90% the following year would be about $700,000. Now, that's contingent upon what other districts do. So you get a piece of the pie, and, it's one of those things where the more you talk about it, you realize, hey, friends, if I talk to you about this, you're going to apply too. And then, but the point being that in Dane County, we have one of the lowest enrollments of any school district in the county, and the third highest reimbursement for high-cost special education. So, this impacts our budget, but again, I talked about 1.8 million with that 60%, and now we're talking 300,000 and then 700,000.
Just the beta between what our state superintendent, was asking for as opposed to what it's turning out to be. It's almost laughable.
Yeah, Dr. Underley asked for 90%.
90%, yeah.
Yeah.
Some sufficient. So, all that put together, we're not even on a plane of the other ask, which is tying the per pupil aid to inflationary, indexing to inflation as was done prior to 2010. That's not even being discussed. So now we're kind of at a stalemate, I guess, a little bit. So we'll see where it ends up. But the gap is so significant. Less relevant, I guess, directly to our funding, but there was significant amount of money that was allocated towards voucher and private education.
So if anyone would ever like to have a conversation offline, and I can fill you all in on the political realm, please feel free to reach out to me. We can grab coffee.
Yes.
Yep. I'm sure
Because
it's
otherwise,
very
I'm just gonna
interesting.
go on a tangent of rage.
Yeah, please don't.
I won't.
And just so, the community understands when we're talking about, the significant, when Mr. Turner's talking about the significant increase to the school voucher, the funding for that, 83% of our students in our state attend public school. So this is talking, we're increasing the funds for a very small percentage of our students. So just keep that in mind. And also understand that these are complex words and numbers. So if you didn't understand some sufficient, you are not the only one. I've asked a lot, and there are a lot of really good resources that you have here in the district office, and on the school board and others in our community who can help break some things down for you, as well as the school referendum information that we still have on the district website is very good. So plug it
And
in.
Aaron, I'd like to tack on to what you had said about the taxpayers in McFarland will have to, pick up this extra money. The truth of the matter is, we're sitting on a $4 billion surplus, and this legislature is determined to give that back in the form of basically income tax, a rebate, as it were. And it turns out what's going to benefit is basically the wealthiest people in the state, and the people who are seniors who are on a fixed income are going to see none of that, and they're the ones who are being hit so hard with property taxes. And to me, again, it's just unconscionable.
Yes, and I think it is important we continue to remind people. I think people's memory is starting to fade, and that's concerning to me. You know, a year ago, April, we asked for what we needed for a referendum. That did not pass. We asked for half of that. It did pass. So we are operating in a deficit. So we have to make difficult decisions on a daily basis, and that is part of our fiscal responsibility, and the taxpayers just should accept nothing less. Unfortunately, the decisions we're having to make do impact our students. So I'll give you an example is that our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging coordinator position is currently a vacant position, and we're pausing hiring that because we don't know how we're gonna pay for it. To fill an existing position, because we know we're in a deficit, and based on what we heard last week from the biennial budget, it's only getting worse. So those are, you know, really hard and difficult decisions that we need to be making.
We have to make decisions now that are gonna be of impact in '26 and all of the elections going forward.
Right.
So yeah, so
Well, and-
it makes you go against things that you care about and you value and think will be good for our kids just because you have to pay your bills.
Right.
And I have run into the people who are confused by, how can you have a deficit? You just got your referendum passed. And again, if you were to talk to any of the people on that citizen advisory committee, they realize, okay, if we would have really asked for what we thought would get us out of a deficit, we would have done it, but we realized that we could not get that passed, or we ran a very good risk of not passing anything at all. And so we were between a rock and a hard place, and we took what we thought would be palatable as far as what the taxpayers could afford, but knowing full well that we were going to be in this deficit. And I want the public to be aware of that. This is all, again, there is money there, $4 billion, but they want to give it back to the richest people, and it just, to me, is unconscionable.
Well, and I think to go back to, you're totally right, Bruce, and to go back to the decision about the DIB coordinator, that is one that really impacts all the students in the district. And it's an incredibly hard decision. And it's part of our strategic plan, like equity and inclusion and making sure that all the students belong is one of the foundations of our strategic plan. And to feel like we weren't really faced with a decision, you know, like there was no, I mean, it felt like there was only one answer in a way, because of the decisions that our legislatures are, not our legislators, but the ones who are controlling the decisions right now is really sad. So,
Our hands forced a little bit on making tough choices.
Yes.
yeah,
With all of our kids in mind, and still wanting to stand by things that we believe in and want to teach all of our kids. So this is hard. I mean, this is when the rubber meets the road, and it's a really bad analogy, but we have lots of skid marks. Like this is, I told you, really bad analogy.
yep,
Longevity, I just, levity, but like this is extremely challenging, and I hope that the community, I hope you understand that these are not decisions we take lightly, and because every kid does matter to all of us, and
Exactly, Meredith. And I just, it's popular with some folks to sit there and say, oh, this is all a woke agenda. And I will say that more than anything, what you just said is exactly it. We feel that every kid should be treated with dignity. And that's really all this is about, that every kid should be treated with dignity. And I just want people to understand that. And this is, again, it is a blow to literally our strategic plan. We're trying to just do everything we can with the minimum amount of resources to carry out I think, a very beautiful strategic plan.
It's true. Yep, and that's one example among many, and it's
Yeah.
looking like it's not gonna get better.
So you got some good stuff for us?
So we also, just to give you an update on the renaming process, right? So the board voted to rename the primary school to McFarland Primary. And so there's kind of two paths going underway at the same time. There's sort of the logistics of rebranding a school and what those costs are. At this point, we haven't spent anything. We've just done what we could do on our own. And then there's the recognizing Conrad Alvium and his legacy. And so we're trying to do those things at the same time. We do have some places in our curriculum where we've identified where we will talk about Conrad Alvium, both in terms of his many, many accomplishments in science and as a local resident here, and then also to talk about the restrictive covenant, the racially restricted covenant, and the impact on housing. So a lot of good work underway, but a lot more to do in that. So I wanted to give you a little update on that. And then I do have some things to share in the slideshow with you. And so that will be positive. So you have some students here, a little drop in everything and read outside at MPS. Just love to see a love of literacy. That's always fun. Then you have some students that in 4K, the 4K, they raised some chickens,
Look at those smiles.
little chicks. Yeah, very exciting moment. Very exciting moment. Exciting.
Took us a while to pick up on that, huh?
Yeah, that wasn't me. So it's celebrating the end of the year in Mrs. Punzel's class there. So they had a little camp out. What a fun way to do that.
Are those like tablecloths?
Yeah, I think
Clever
they're
way
like
to
those
use
red
those.
plastic tablecloths. Yeah, it's very fun. Then we had author visit here for our second graders. That's something I've been seeing more and more in our district this year. Did a great job bringing in local authors and talking about their experience, inspiring that love of writing and reading. Moving on, just a nice picture, kind of an end of the year picture. People having some fun here. Elaine Klaas there. The Black Girl Magic Conference, 4th and 5th graders have done that before. Thanks to Brittany Brazel for organizing that and leading students there. Had a great day and a lot of fun. Really good moment for them. We always have the summer presentations from the E.D. Locke Public Library, encouraging kids to keep reading over the summer. So this is at Wabisa with Heather there. Doing some worm dissection at the middle school. One of my favorite things is to watch them dissect. Always a blast. Some kids love it and some kids faint. Every year. And having some fun just with our school nutrition department. He saw that costume in a couple different places. The pizza made the rounds. So just a fun thing. Great relationships that Amanda has developed with our students there, and of course is the case with all our school nutrition.
Bruce giving a
Couple retirees among many, right? We had 176 years of service that we're losing, and here you see Joan Schmidt and Brian Coleman celebrating their retirement. Two amazing employees that will be greatly missed by the students they served and the staff that got to work with them and the families as well. Club Unified there doing their bowling trip. They try to get out and do that at least annually and just had a lot of fun together. 8th graders doing their 3D animal project. So that's, some hands-on use of volume and surface area. Pretty good work there. Jamie self-sacrificing with the sort of, the bucket over the head for the carnival that the middle school does at 7th grade. Each of the Our Times advisories develops a game for students to play, and they have a little fundraiser that they do as part of it, and they do some donating. Really a neat thing that the 7th grade team put together a few years ago, and so thanks for their leadership, and thanks to Jamie for being willing to do that. Yes, yes. The library does a really neat thing. This has been going on for many, many years. In this case, the students, the classroom librarians, the students volunteer to do this, but they send books home with staff. So staff sign up and say, I want to read these kind of books over the summer. And they get them some young adult literature to read, and they take it home.
That's fun.
It's a neat tradition there. 6th graders doing the, the science fair. That's always classic. That's one thing I missed it this year. I just typically get up there. You know, they've changed over time. They're well beyond the, which is the best brand of toilet paper. So real versus AI, you can see that one. So very creative and really neat. And I love the way that the 6th grade staff involves the community and having families come. Little writing anthology celebration here with 10 of our middle school students. If you've seen on social media, a lot of pictures of the community day. Another thing that the 7th grade brought forward, first starting off reading to 1st graders, and then they go out into the community and do different activities to help our community, some planting and, marking things. It's really good. MHS Multicultural Club had the cultural meal, which is always a great tradition. A lot of great donations. So thank you, businesses, for donating, and then families bring in special recipes to them. Poli-Sci had their legislative semester again with their full session and debating some bills. Definitely our kids are getting their civics in. So thanks to the teachers that took that on this year. It's a ton of work. But a really powerful experience if you ever get to see it. I know Bruce was able to stop by. Here we have an award. The Dovetail Award was given to amazing head custodian there. Joel does a great job and really brings such a positive attitude to what can be an extremely challenging job. So congratulations to him. The BSU here at the high school got together with the middle school, PCU, and got to know each other. A nice end of the year kind of transition. Here we have the kind of a walking field trip for our high school marketing students, learning about the McFarland House Cafe and Grace Coffee and some of the things that they do. So love our local businesses welcoming our students in and sharing their expertise. And we had the Optimist Club recognizing Kendall Riemann as a Senior of the Month, finished out strong. I think she had a special spot at graduation, which is very coveted. Hey, look at this. We had a recognition ceremony, which went really well, so thank you to those of you that were able to attend. And we're really fortunate to have MHS graduate class of 2018, Kenzie Beam, whose business made drinks for our staff. And thank you to the many community members that donated and bought a drink, including my daughter, who, bought that drink. I am getting right there. So, but really great. It is amazing that they did what they did. If you follow the business's social media at all, you can see they had a video that they sped up of the entire process. They were moving so fast. Unbelievable. Really special for that. And then other things going on. Of course, we had graduation. So that was a real success. What a wonderful event. Great speeches. Yeah, really top notch. They did a great job. Yeah, really a special event and I think well organized. Special thanks to Kim Wink for her leadership. So she takes every detail so seriously and really went well. Also had the WEVA graduations, so 3 of those on the Friday before our brick and mortar graduation. And I did bring the WEVA high school one if anybody wants to see the program from that, but really powerful. It starts with Insight, which is for the, I would say the students that come with their most credit deficient situation, and then DCA, Destinations Career Academy, and then they talk about like what experiences they had in a given career pathway. And then the largest is WEVA High School. But all 3 were the largest classes to ever graduate from their respective high schools.
I think the first year I attended, there was 12.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Really
A lot
neat.
more than 12, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still
It was.
tired.
It
A
was,
lot of handshaking.
yeah, there were. And then they cruised through it too.
Yeah.
They were like backed up on stage. It was the loudest and most enthusiastic graduation ceremony I've ever attended. They were, like, you could just tell that these families and supporters were so excited for these graduates. Like, it was such a different experience. It was
A lot
awesome.
of those families thought that could never,
Right,
ever happen.
yeah,
I mean, it's amazing how it is. You're
Yep.
right. It's a whole different vibe.
yeah, it
Yeah.
totally was. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, it's great.
We also had our Leadership Institute, so district and building staff came together last Tuesday, working really hard right after school gets out. So I was just in awe of the staff and the work that was done. We started summer school today, so thanks to everyone for their leadership there, Melissa Full and many others on a rainy start today. So it was a good start to summer school. We've got a teacher study group going underway, so thanks to Erin Fisher, our 612 literacy coordinator, who's leading a study group around the book When Kids Can't Read, that our secondary teachers are really looking at when they have students that struggle with reading. So that's what they're doing this summer. Of course, you heard a little bit about our success at the end of the season and some great success at state for track, so I won't go into all of that, and girls soccer and all these things. The Shane Blake and Kale Beast were recognized as Sport Persons of the Year for the Madison area at the Madison Hall of Fame Sports Banquet, so kind of neat to
Cool.
have the 3 of them recognized. Special shout out I wanted to give to Sheila Fay. She edited a video that Officer Zietzma and I made with a script that Mike Clements, as their safety coordinator, put together about reunification that we'll be putting up on our website for families. It's very brief, but it gives you a sense of, here's some recommendations if we would ever need to have you reunify with your child, either on-site or off-site, what to do. And mostly it's stay home, stay informed, and then, be prepared so that when you do come in, we can reunite you as quickly as possible. So she did all the editing. Appreciate the high school administration and student services. They have prepared an alumni survey that we're gonna start sending out to our alumni to just hear how things are going and do that 1 year after graduation and then 5 years after graduation.
Awesome.
So that's something we will start now. I have a draft of it in my mailbox today, today, and we will get that out in the coming weeks. For that, we collect email addresses, personal email addresses from our kids. We'll use that. Special thanks, we've got some donations. McFarland United Church of Christ made a very generous donation towards the purchase of our land acknowledgement plaques. We have enough for 1.
Sweet.
So we're going to do that. We're not going to get lost in a political conversation, but I will say the cost for the plaques has increased dramatically in relation to the tariffs. So also wanted to thank Jennifer and Chad Pagels, who made a wonderful donation to McFarland High School Skills USA Club. So thanks to that. Today, we hosted a safety training here for Dane County School Safety Team with emergency management on the standard response protocol, which is what we use. So we had people from other districts coming right here to use that.
Awesome.
Our facility, so they were in the PAC, so thanks for that. June, we continue on, of course, you know it's LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. Also, the 14th was Robert LaFollette Senior Day. We have Juneteenth is June 19th with a celebration at Arnold Larson Park this Sunday from 12 to 3.
Same folks are doing the food again this year.
Yeah, very good food. Make sure you
Good
go. It's a
food.
great event. It's in collaboration with the village and our high school Black Student Union. And then the third annual Pride in the Park is on the 29th. Throw pie in the face of your favorite or least favorite school staff member or former board member. July is
Mooney.
Disability Pride Month. We've got Independence Day, of course, on July 4th. The second summer school session from the 7th to 17th. We have the Joint Village School Board Planning Committee on July 8th. We have our school board regular meeting on July 14th. And then Camp Kindergarten is just after that. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions or other recognitions you'd like to share?
Well, you covered it mostly, but I just wanted to add on to how incredible I thought that the graduation went. I thought the
Yep.
speeches were just spot on, and everything flowed.
Yep,
Great job. Great job, Kim Wink.
100%, 100%.
I
was-
agree, Craig.
Yep. I was going to say the same thing. And then also a shout out to the staff who choose to attend because that's not required. So
Correct.
They choose
Yeah.
to be there because they think it's,
Looked to be more than I can
it's a lot.
recall. I thought that was a really, really good turnout.
That's great. I had a couple. That was going to be the one I ended on. I wanted to acknowledge the shooting, the killing of the legislators up in Minnesota, in part because we are all public elected officials. And I don't feel like this is something we have to worry about here in McFarland. Being an elected official can feel really unsafe sometimes, and here, I don't feel like that's an issue, and unfortunately, that's something to be grateful for right now, and I just educators teach us how to do social discourse in a kind and positive way here. And so thank you to community members for doing that, and we have to do better. We have to figure out how to do better.
That's why we're here.
It's true. It's why we're here. But I think we're unique. So I'm grateful for that. And then going back to the Joint Finance Committee, a general thank you to all of the board members who submitted comments and public support, community members, family, anyone who did something to try to help public education. So, yeah, we're going to keep trying.
I have one. Aster, I'm totally gonna mess up your last name. Aster
Campaneschi.
Yes.
Oh, you did it.
Sorry, I should have let you.
Is a high school student and GSA member and spoke about our inclusive programs and spaces at the Village of McFarland Pride Flag Raising Ceremony and Community Gathering on June 4th. They spoke very well, and it is inspiring to see the next generation. I feel like I'm getting old, but it is something that I never saw in my experience. Thank you, Esther, for standing up and using your voice, as well as all the other GSA members in our community. So
Very
thank you.
courageous.
Yeah, very.
Yep, it's true. Yeah,
Makes you proud.
yep.
It gave me goosebumps,
Hmm.
as did graduation. So
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you for all those. Those are great recognitions. Okay, I think we're on to our action items.
whoa, just
All right.
running along.
Yeah, we are. That's okay. Action on the memorandum of understanding with Natural Circles of Support. This goes from July 1st of this year to December 31st of this year. Do you have more you want to say about it, Aaron?
I can.
You don't have to?
Sure, yep. Just give you a little update. 5-year grant, $1 million, community impact grant, and we are in the last half of the last year. And so is built on a plan of sustainability. And so the district has taken more and more ownership, working with our partners, researcher Dr. Pribino out of UW-Madison, as well as the Natural Circles of Support Community Group, to provide consultation, leadership, led the mentoring circles initially. Now we have assumed responsibility for these activities, with them continuing to serve as a consultant and kind of step back in their role so that we're prepared to continue moving forward. Made some changes to this agreement in response to previously there was a lot of references to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Coordinator and their activities. We will continue those activities just with other staff members. So this is very similar to the agreement that you approved last year. It's just that, one, it's for half of the year. It will end in a very large, comprehensive report for the entire project. And also, I would just say that it kind of is symbolic of, the district's ownership and responsibility to make sure we're meeting the needs of all kids, learners, and NCOS can move on and serve other districts.
Awesome. Any questions about that? I would look for a motion.
I will make that.
All right, Fisher,
I can second.
Chapman. All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, action on the 2025-2026 private transportation contracts. Annually, the school board approves private transportation contracts for those district families who will have children attending private or parochial schools in the school year, as defined by state statutes 121.54. Board action is requested to approve the private transportation contracts as listed in the exhibit provided.
I would move to approve the 25-26 private transportation contracts as recommended by the administration.
All right, Howery, we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, got the H's there. Any discussion? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so now we have the action on the second reading of many policies. Would you like me to read the policies now or do it in the motion?
I can,
That makes you happier.
I
do
can-
I'll
we
do it.
want to approve these all at once, or are we going to go through them one at a time?
Well, we already went through them, this is the second reading, so we already went through them last time, so I think we can do it all in one unless there's any discussion. And we make the motion all in one.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of the following policies as recommended by administration. 4124, letter of reasonable assurance. 6231, budget implementation. 6235, fund balance. 6620, petty cash. 7410, maintenance. 7430, safety standards. 7440, facility security. 7440.202, smart monitoring equipment. 7540.03, student technology, acceptable use and safety. 7540.04, staff technology, acceptable use and safety. 7540.07, district-issued student email accounts. 8120, volunteers. 8125, consultants. 8395, student mental health services. 8531, free and reduced price meals. 8600, transportation. 6110, federal funds. 6325, procurement, federal grants and funds. 7310, disposition of personal property. 7450, property inventory, and 8510, wellness.
Thanks, Craig. While you catch your breath, do I have a
You're welcome.
second?
I can second.
All right, Chapman. All right, do we have any further discussion? No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, now we have action on recommended WEVA DCA Insight School of Wisconsin, state statutes 118.408G, student transfers to resident districts. These schools are requesting approval of recommended student transfers back to their resident districts due to lack of engagement.
I move to approve the WEVA Destinations Career Academy and Insight School of Wisconsin recommended student transfers back to their resident districts due to lack of engagement.
All right, thank you.
I can second that.
All right, Fisher. Any discussion? No, it's a longer list this time. I imagine it's
Yes,
probably
it is.
because it's end of year.
Yeah,
Yep.
only 2 kindergartners.
Thank you
It's
for the
important.
Gotta tell my Tom
Moonies.
Mooney.
Yep, got to do the Mooney. Yes, it's always sad to see the youngest learners not, for whatever reason, getting their needs met, not for lack of trying from WEVA or anything like that, but
And only 1 first grader.
yeah, it's
good.
it's been so much better.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So now we are going to I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
I have to read a little bit first. But you are so fast. Motion for closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data on any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Specifically, we are discussing certified staff member request for retirement. So, how are you?
I move to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Okay, all right, Chapman. So we are gonna do roll call. Howery,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yep.
Huey,
Yep.
and then Fisher, are you coming into closed session with us?
I will try.
Okay, great. And Fessler, yes. So we are gonna go into closed session at 8:59. And then we will reconvene in open in case we take any action on what's in closed session.
I think that's right.
All right.
Move it out. I don't, 2 days ago, we decided to switch from Android to iPhone.
You'll get used to it. You will, you will.
Oh, my God. Hence the phone ringing in the middle of the meeting.
If you need any help, I will help you.
We'll need lots of help.
Because I made the switch from Android to iPhone. And you can't go back now. A senior tech guy actually told me
Yeah.
We'll wait for Chapman to, yes. Howery, motion. Chapman seconded. And we went back into open at 9:18. I figured it out all by myself.
She did, it was wonderful.
Okay, Chapman is back. Uh-oh.
He's on a lake.
There we go.
Okay, there's Bruce.
All right, we're live.
All right, we're back.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so does anyone, now that we're back in open session, does anyone wish to make a motion to take action on what we discussed in closed session? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn this evening.
Huey.
I'll second.
All right, Chipman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? No.
We've still never had one of those.
No, I know. All right, and we are meeting
I was gonna
adjourned
say,
at 9:21 PM.
Very good.
Motion carries. Sorry.
Thank you, Bruce. Enjoy the rest of your time.